We're all sort of swimming in this sea of notifications, endless to-do lists, aren't we?
Oh, definitely. Days just fly by.
Yeah, and sometimes you look up and realize you haven't, really connected with the people who matter most.
Exactly.
So today we're diving into a really interesting concept from Japan. It's called Seizenso.
Seizenso. It translates pretty directly to funeral while alive.
Okay, hang on. That sounds intense.
It does sound intense, yeah.
Hmm.
But it's really, it's not about being morbid at all. It's quite the opposite, actually. Yeah. Think of it more like a really conscious way to celebrate someone's life, appreciate them, but crucially doing it now while they're here.
Okay. Celebrating life now. I like that frame. It's about shifting focus then, away from waiting until someone's gone.
Precisely. Instead of the traditional memorial service after, Seizenso is proactive. It's about valuing people, acknowledging their impact, while you can still look them in the eye and share that.
Got it. So our mission for this deep dive is to really get under the skin of Seizenso. What are the core ideas? And importantly, how can we maybe borrow some of that spirit for our own lives, no matter our background or, stage of life?
Yeah, and we've looked at some really insightful materials that unpack the meaning, the benefits. It's quite profound.
So where do we start? What's a foundational piece?
Well, one of the absolute fundamentals that keeps coming up is just the power of presence, simply showing up.
Presence. Okay, let's unpack that because, like you said, it's so easy these days to feel connected digitally, but maybe not really be present.
That's exactly what the sources highlight. We fall into this pattern, don't we? Sending emojis instead of expressing real emotion.
Or firing off a quick text when maybe what someone needed was just your time, your undivided attention.
Right. And what's really striking about Season So is that showing up isn't passive. Attending one is a very deliberate choice.
A choice driven by what?
Huh.
Love?
Yeah.
Respect?
Love, respect, yeah.
Hmm.
It's about consciously deciding, okay, I'm putting aside everything else, my emails, my deadlines, my own stuff, and I'm dedicating my full self, my physical presence, my emotional energy, even my spiritual focus to being with this person.
That sends a huge message, doesn't it?
It really does. One source put it beautifully, something like, I value you enough to pause my life and be here with you right now.
Wow. That lands. Pause my life. That's significant.
It makes you think about the weight of just showing up. And it's not just for these, specific Season So events. This applies daily.
How so? Give me some everyday examples.
Well, think about it. Instead of just scrolling past a friend's happy news and hitting like, maybe you actually pick up the phone. Just for 2 minutes.
Okay. Less passive, more active.
Exactly. Or maybe instead of another email, you send a quick handwritten note. Or that lunch date you keep pushing back. Actually make it happen. Show up.
Right. These small acts embody that Seizenso principle of presence in our everyday connections. Makes sense.
Yeah, it grounds the concept.
Okay, so presence is key. What's another core idea that emerged?
The second big one is about giving thanks, expressing appreciation. But, and this is the crucial bit, doing it in real time, directly to the person.
So not just thinking nice thoughts about them, but actually voicing it.
Precisely. A huge part of Season So involves people standing up and sharing gratitude, telling stories about the person's impact, saying why they matter.
It sounds like a living eulogy. Is that a fair comparison?
That's exactly how it's often described, a living eulogy. All those wonderful things people usually say at funerals. The praise, the affection, the funny memories, but said while the person is there to hear it.
Okay, now that is powerful. Imagine getting to hear firsthand how you've actually made a difference in people's lives.
Right. To hear the lessons they learned from you, or why a particular moment with you stuck with them. To actually feel that appreciation while you're still here.
It really throws into relief how often we don't do that, doesn't it? We might hope we've had a positive impact, but we rarely get that direct confirmation.
That's the contrast. Season So flips that. It offers that chance not just to hope, but to know, to witness the joy, maybe even the healing that comes from receiving that kind of direct affirmation.
So how can we translate that into, regular life without staging a full ceremony?
The sources gave some great practical ideas. Things like sending a voice note to an old mentor, just saying, hey, I was thinking about that advice you gave me.
Oh, nice. Personal.
Yeah. Or maybe emailing a former boss or colleague who really went to bat for you, just to say thanks again. Or even just calling your sibling and saying, remember that time when, That meant a lot to me.
It doesn't have to be grand then.
Not at all. That's a key point. The value isn't in the scale of the gesture, it's the sincerity, it's the directness. Just a simple, heartfelt thank you for listening when I needed it can mean the world.
Okay, so be present and express gratitude directly. What's the third pillar?
The third major theme is the importance of saying what you need to say.
Hmm.
Addressing the unspoken stuff.
The things we carry around, like regrets or...
Exactly. Regrets, unsaid apologies, maybe affirmations you never voiced, wishes, declarations of love or pride, all those things we tend to hold on to.
Yeah, we tell ourselves, oh, I'll say it later, or now's not the right time.
But the sources really highlight the danger in that. Life happens. That better time might, never actually arrive.
So Seizenso, it kind of forces the issue. It creates that better time.
In a way, yes. It intentionally carves out a space for that kind of open, honest, heartfelt communication, for maybe finding reconciliation or just reflecting together, and for release, emotional release.
Not postponing the important stuff.
Right, because carrying those unsaid words, it's heavy. It can be a real burden for both people sometimes.
What kind of things are we talking about specifically? Example.
Well, the sources mention things like finally saying, I forgive you, or I'm so incredibly proud of the person you become, or maybe, I'm sorry I never told you how much your support really mattered back then.
Hearing those examples, makes you think. Makes you reflect on your own life, your own relationships.
Definitely. And again, you don't need a formal Seizenso to embrace this spirit.
So how do we create these moments ourselves, these sort of mini Seizenso opportunities?
Practical ideas included things like maybe hosting a really casual appreciation night with a few close friends, just creating an informal space to share what you value about each other.
Okay, low key. I like that.
Or writing legacy letters, sharing your values, life lessons, hopes for loved ones, or even just committing to having more intentional conversations. Phones down, distractions off, really talking and listening.
Creating space for the important things, not just the urgent things.
Exactly. These become our personal ways to say what needs saying.
It's interesting, stepping back, how different this feels from, say, typical Western cultural norms around death and remembrance.
That's a really significant point the sources raise.
Yeah.
In many Western societies, the big outpourings of appreciation, the sharing of impact, it's often reserved for the wake, the funeral, the eulogy.
Right, after the person is gone.
Meaning the person at the center of it all never actually gets to hear any of it.
Yeah. Seizenso completely flips that script. It challenges that whole wait until they're gone approach.
It really does. Which kind of leads to a bit of a challenge maybe for everyone listening.
Okay, lay it on us.
You don't need the big formal ceremony. But could you create your own small personal version of this? A living tribute moment in whatever way feels right for you.
Like, just reach out to one or two people and intentionally share that appreciation, or maybe that thing you needed to say.
Exactly. Just bring a little bit of that Seizenso spirit, that honoring the living now into your own relationships.
Because really, when you strip it all down, Seizenso isn't actually about death or dying, is it?
Not fundamentally, no. As the sources make clear, it's about living more fully. It's about enriching the present by actively, intentionally acknowledging the people who make our lives better while we still can, while they can receive it.
So we genuinely encourage everyone listening to think about this. How could you bring a little living tribute into your life?
And we'd love to hear your thoughts. If ideas spark, reach out. We're happy to brainstorm.
Absolutely, because doing this intentionally honoring others, now it feels so life-giving, doesn't it?
It really does. And on the flip side, being honored like that,
Yeah.
receiving that appreciation directly,
Yeah.
that's got to bring such immediate joy, such connection.
Totally. So a final thought to leave everyone with.
Okay. As you go about your week, maybe just take a moment, reflect. Who in your life, whose presence truly matters to you, whose appreciation would mean the world? Is there something, maybe forgiveness, that needs expressing
Right now, not someday.
right now?
Yeah.
And then think, what's one small step, just one thing you could do this week to bring a little bit of that Seizenso spirit, that honoring the present, into that relationship?